Today's painting is going to be of this adorable hippo, and if you can see in his mouth, he's got this ribbon that is going up, and he's holding a Valentine balloon. I loved how the Valentine balloons turned out in the capybara Valentine painting, so we are going to do another balloon. Today we're going to paint this hippo. And I wanted to start zoomed in so we could talk a little bit about how I sketch out from my reference photo. I am not a tracer. I just don't really like tracing. There's nothing wrong with tracing. So if you trace before you watercolor, then that's great. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how I accomplish my sketch out. So what I do is I look at my reference photo and I find something about the object that I'm sketching that I feel is relatively simple. And so what I did here with this hippo is I looked at the curvature above his eyes. So it's this curvature that goes up like this, down, up, and down. And I started by just sketching in that curvature. Then from there, I can find out where everything else goes. So I had my initial here. And so I said, okay, well, in the middle of that first arch would be his eyeball. So I sketched in the outer portion of his eyeball and sketched in his eyeball a little bit. And I thought, and then I looked at and I said, okay, the distance from the top of his brow here to the top of his lid is about the same from the bottom lid to here. So I rounded that out. Then I went, okay, I'm gonna jump over to nostrils. Where does this nostril start? And I look at my reference photo and I say, okay, the top of this sort of teardrop shape starts right underneath the center of this eyeball here, of this arch here. Okay, and as far as this way, it's a little bit lower than this eye bag here. So I go over like this and I say, okay, it's gonna start here. And as far as size, I look at it and I go, what is it comparison with size? It looks like about the same circular size as his eyeball. So I just made that sketch. And then I said, okay, the other nostril is directly over, and I sketched that nostril. So then I just had this arch, this eyeball. Oh, I did do this little, the lid on this side, and I had these. Then I looked at my reference photo and I said, okay, the sort of illuminated part of the front of his mouth looks like the kiss of lips. It looks like a smooch that you would see, as a lip print. So I sketched out and I looked at, okay, size-wise, where does it go? It goes to the middle of this arch. So everything sort of relates back to this arch. So I said, okay, the lip part starts in the middle of this arch. So I went down and I sketched up and down and up and around, brought it down, sketched this, and then all I had were nostrils, this sort of lip illuminated area, and the eyeballs. And then from there, I can go in and say, okay, I need the shape of his sort of head and jaw. So I looked, okay, it goes around underneath his lip chin and it goes out to the side about the same distance as this. So I sort of went, okay, this, and then I put it out here and I sketched everything you can sort of say, like, what size is this compared to something you already created? So I already created this eye structure here. So I know that that's a finger width is my eye structure. So I know that the in between these nostrils is a little bit thinner than my eye structure. So I can put my finger there and know. I can say that, okay, this eye structure is 1 and I think this is about 2. So boom, boom. And everything sort of relates to the first thing that I drew. So I sketched out here his head, and then I had to add his upper head, and I look, okay, it's just a little bit above there, his upper head piece, then his little ears, and then from there, I just swooped down for his little skin wrinkles down his back and rounded here, and then connected his jaw. And I looked for this curve and I went, okay, this curve starts right under the corner of his eye, right here, and it comes in and it swoops directly down and it connects here. Because this line is not really a line, it's more a demarcation of where the light is hitting this front portion. So this is a little bit darker of a line than I'm gonna need it to be, because it really is. So I'll just sort of lighten that with my eraser, but I keep it there. And then I'm gonna add my balloon, and I'm having him hold the balloon in his mouth. So I looked at his jaw and I was like, okay, and I sketched down a little ribbon, and then over, where would it be coming out on the other side of his mouth, and just went straight up, and then sketched my heart, which is easy for some people, challenging for others. It's pretty challenging for me to get an even heart, but I had to erase a few times and it's still not perfect, but hey, you know what I mean. It's art. It's okay. It's not that serious. And then because this is not just a thin ribbon, it's an actual like thicker thread, or thicker ribbon, I sketched it into a little bow to tie around the base of the balloon. So that's my sketch out. So that's my process. My process is pick a part of your reference photo that you are pretty sure you can recreate, and then just look at where the other parts are located in relationship to that. So like nostril, right below here, starts right in the middle of here, draw the nostril. So I hope that that's helpful. So get your hippo sketched out. I'm gonna leave this like this so you can take a screenshot of this hippo if you want to trace, or if you want to just have a reference for the sketch out. There you go. And we're gonna jump right into putting the background in. Okay, we're all sketched out and we are ready to get started. So we are actually going to put the water in the background, which is a little bit daunting for me personally. I'm not, well practiced at water, but we're gonna do this together. The first thing that I'm going to do is lay down our base color around the mouth portion here, the reflection in the water here around his eyes and his ears, which is sort of this skin color right here. Okay, so if you have this palette, if you want this palette, I will put the link for my affiliate link for this in the description. If you have this palette, it is the 4th one down here. I activated it with water so it could start blending and becoming usable. And now I'm going to use this number 14 round brush, which is a bigger brush than I use when I'm doing detail, because I really need to sort of mop this whole area. Okay, so I got water and I'm going to pick up this skin color, and I'm just looking at my reference photo and I'm going to mop around where I'm seeing this color. Now, I'm trying to be fairly precise here on where I'm going to see this color, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because as you can see, dark colors are going to be happening over the top. So just sort of anywhere where you see this color peeking out is where I'm going to actually use this color that's on him right here and use it sort of as my palette. So I'm going to put it on his eye there, a little bit down here, around, down here. I'm going to try to avoid this ribbon because I'm not sure what color I'm going to paint the ribbon yet. So I'm going to avoid this ribbon. But this base color is all the way on his little body here. And I'm pulling it down here. And it's sort of avoiding the ribbon. And it's sort of here. And I see how it's picking up some of the pigment. I'm using that pigment and the water in there as sort of my palette. I'm picking it up because it's still quite wet and I can do that. So now I'm going to put this in the water, and I used this tip down here because the reflection is sort of like this. So we're going to pick up more from his face here, and we're just going to, now I'm going to dip water. I'm going to grab a little bit more of the paint, and I'm going to make it a little bit stronger of a reflection here, all the way down to my tape line. I got a little eraser piece in there, so I just wiped it with my finger. So I'm taking this all the way up to his body here and then around. For some reason I have little eraser pieces, so I'm just wiping them off and then I'm moving this around. Okay, so this is basically where I see this color happening, and maybe a little bit up on his head here. So I'll just use what's already on my brush there, because it will wind up being an undertone, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with undertone. I'm gonna put a light amount here because it's going to end up being undertone. And I'm just gonna sort of try to blend out where this color is hitting, so it's not such a, like a stark line. All right. Yeah, there he is. I'm also gonna blend this little bit out here, just so it's not, such a stark line when I put the darker colors over it. Okay, so now we have his base color, and we're going to give it a moment to dry. You can, if you've got a hairdryer handy, you can use a hairdryer and dry this out. But I'm going to let this dry and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, now this sort of peachy color is dry, and if you look at the reference photo, the background of the hippo, the sort of highlights are, you might think, oh, they're like white or something, but if you put a white napkin or something up against your reference photo, you'll see that what is a highlight is actually a little bit deeper of a color. So I actually decided that base of the water and the base of the hippo is going to be this color here, which is a very light blue. And I'm going to show you that color tested on this piece of paper. So you can see that that is just like a light blue color and not white. And that is what we're going to use. Okay. So I'm gonna move that over here a little bit so I don't drag it. And I'm going to use that as the base of the hippo and the base of the water. So it's okay if it sort of spills over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my same 14 round, and I'm going to first fill him in. And I'm filling him in with this awesome, really light blue. And I know that you're like, oh, well, he is not blue. That is correct. But the highlighted, the lightest parts of him are blue. They're light, they're this light blue. And you'll see how this blue is now meeting this peach color and blending and becoming a color story. I've always loved that term, color story. I've always thought that that was neat. So see how he's becoming a hippo? He's becoming a hippo, you guys. That's what's happening. In case you were like, what's happening? He is becoming a hippo. And he's getting his base coloring. This base coloring happens around his head here, on his ears, on his eyelid right here, all around here, definitely in this ear. That ear is dark, and he's just blending. He's just blending. Okay, so now he has his like lightest colors on him. And this kind of blends into there. Now I'm going to clean off that brush and dab it. And I'm going to pick it up a little bit right here where it got in his little kissy face area, because that kissy face area is definitely more of that orange color. Okay. You can see how this water is going off onto the taped portion, and that's okay. Okay, you guys, we're getting a hippo. So if I shift the light like that, you can see while it's wet, the light sort of creates a big shine on him. Okay, so this color is actually going to be the base of the water as well, but I'm gonna want to use my round brush here to go around the hippo with a little bit of speed so that we don't get these lines. So what I'm going to do is, and it's okay if it runs up against this because all it's going to do is pull this blue out, and that's fine. Okay, so now our job is, this is like we've got to move fast, okay? Our job is to lay down the water all here without making like undesirable lines in it. Okay, so we want to make it wet, and then we can add pigment to create those sort of ripples in the water. So what I'm going to do, what we should do is take a fairly big round brush like this 14, and I'm going to get that light blue color, and I'm going to drag it all the way around his perimeter, and then I'm going to grab, so if you have, get ready, a big flat brush like this, okay? This is a number 16, and what this is going to do is allow me to get the rest of it wet without, having to do the whole thing with this little brush, okay? This is a little bit bigger, and it's just going to make it a little bit easier for me, okay? So that's what we're doing. We're going to carve out the outside, and then we're going to do that, okay? Here we go. Don't be scared. I'm not scared. You're scared. I'm not scared. All right, so I'm grabbing fair amount of water because I don't want that line around. I don't want it to dry, okay? So here we go. We're gonna start down here and I am dragging around the perimeter, and we can let that go into here. I think I'm gonna just go over that. I'm just gonna go over the thread there because I can't be bothered. Okay. I said I was going to mop with that other one, but I'm just getting a little nervous. So I need this to be going fast. All right. Because we're not trying to make lines, you guys. This doesn't have to be as precise because that color is also on the back of the hippo. Okay, so we have gotten the water all the way here, so I'm switching. Too close for missiles. We're switching to guns or something like that. Okay. All right, so this, see, I'm mopping, and I'm going to try to mop sort of around the heart, but I'm not going to, you know, freak out if I get the heart a little bit wet. We're not freaking out, you guys. There's no freaking out. We're just having fun. Now this is sort of drying a little bit. So we're gonna go around. I definitely got water on the heart, and that is okay. All right. I don't know why I seem to have like little eraser bits. Okay, now we have a base of water with a little bit of that blue all around the hippo and the heart. And because we have that base of the blue here, we can look at our reference photo. Got water all over the place here. We can look at our reference photo and see what pigments we want to drop in here. So I see some brown actually. So I'm gonna just grab a little bit of that darkest brown and I'm going to plunk it in. That's the technical term. We're plunking it. We're gonna plunk it in. I'm gonna try not to plunk it in next to my heart. Okay, so we've got some brown going. All right, now I see some darker blue. So I'm going to come over here. This one, I'm gonna test it on my paper. Whoa, that's bright. That's Sarah. What are you talking about? That one's better. Okay, so this is the third one. Let me move this a little bit. This color is the third one down here, and I'm just gonna swipe some through. That's probably a deeper blue than I might want, but it's okay. And we're just swiping that blue around. Later, after this base is in, we're gonna be able to go in and carve out like a little bit more of a shape, like a little bit more, but we want this kind of base color to happen. We do, we want the base color to happen, you guys. All right. So what I'm doing now is I'm just making sure that we don't have any like ridiculous like unnatural spots or anything like that. Now this area, if you look right around his, like under his mouth area, is a little bit like choppy because, I mean, there's a hippo in the water. So I'm going to just plunk down some like that and see how it's like bleeding through. That is like, I mean, you can't ask for better. We like the bleeding. And then I'm just sort of dragging it through. So we put some gray around there. He actually has a little bit of this gray right here in the water. So I'm just gonna plunk that in. Plunk. And then sort of blend it a little bit into this color. Oh my gosh, look at that. Well, we love that. We love that. We love that. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, I think I'm gonna go in here and there with a little bit of that dark color. Here and there. See that? It's very dark. You can see where I'm testing it. And then I'm just going to like hint at some ripples here and there. Little ripples here and there. Just hinting at some ripples. And then I'm going to rinse off my brush and I'm going to swipe around those dark bits just to like make them maybe make a little bit more sense. Make it make sense. I don't know why I just said that. I heard it somewhere and I was trying to be cool. So, you know, sometimes you try to be cool and you're not. Sometimes that happens. Okay, now, don't overwork it, you guys. Don't keep going. Don't. Let it dry. Okay, get your hairdryer on here. If I move my light over here, you can see how wet it still is. See that? Okay. Okay, so we are going to stop this video here. This will be the end of part 1, and we will let our base color of the hippo and the water dry. And in part 2, we will finish our hippo. So we'll see you next time.